What is up, you guys? Welcome back to a long-term ownership review of the Ducati Streetfighter V4. Beautiful. God, there's just not another naked bike that looks this good, in my opinion. You guys can contest in the comments below, but in my opinion, this thing is the top dog. Especially with that sun gleaming on it. Good Lord, that's a pretty bike. It's also October and 81 degrees for this commute home. Late October at that, so whew, we are very, very fortunate today. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. I'm about to have an amazing commute here on this thing and explain exactly why this is so worth the money. I've had this for now 6,000 miles, as you've seen, and at this point I still don't regret this purchase whatsoever, and it's been 2 years of absolute bliss. This thing has been a treat to ride. It's been comfortable, it's been reliable, it's stupid fast. I recommend this thing to anybody, especially just test riding it to see if it's a good fit for you. But for me, it checked all of my boxes. It has the torque down low, even though some people say it doesn't, and it, you know, the Aprilia feels like it has more torque down low, which it probably does, but it has plenty of torque for my liking down low. And then the top end is brutal. I've never felt a naked bike rip a top end like this thing does. Stock for stock. I'm sure you can get an H2, mod it, make like 250 at the wheel. That thing will pull like crazy up top too, but stock for stock, this is absolutely insane, revving to like 14,500, just banging shifts off. Just sounds so good. And comfortability wise, I have not had a more comfortable naked bike. All I've owned are naked motorcycles, and man, I have never had one as comfortable as this thing. I could go for hours, hundreds of miles a day on this thing. Yeah, my butt hurts a little bit, but that's just because I honestly don't ride as much as I used to. So this is kind of like a treat when I get to bring this thing out. I think that's also why I really view it as the perfect bike for me, because it's a treat. It's something that I don't ride every day. I look forward to the days that I get to ride this thing. I look forward to the days that I get to make content for you guys. So it checks all my boxes and then some. And I see a lot of people, you know, why do you need that much power in a naked bike? You don't. You really don't. But it's super fun, and I highly recommend someone at least try it. I would say one thing that surprised me also with this bike that I didn't expect to like so much about it is the maneuverability. Like, yes, it has crazy amount of power, it's a big engine, it's a meaty bike, but it only weighs, you know, mid 400s with gas and everything. Let's wave to this guy. What's up, dude? Dude in a brain bucket. Sick. But it only weighs in the mid 400s. So, and with the rake angle, I mean, the Tuono V4, when I rode it, it needs a little bit of convincing to kind of tip over, but once you're in the corner, it feels fantastic. This is a great mixture of both. It feels extremely stable in the corners, while also being able to tip over so nicely. I mean, this thing, flick of a hat, just so nice. I would say another awesome part of this bike would be the electronics package. After all of the miles that I've put on this so far, and again, I know you guys ride way more than I do probably, but you know, I feel like 6,000 miles on a bike is a decent amount to be able to judge how good it is, you know. And the electronics on this bike are superb. By far the best that I've had on any of my motorcycles. Very advanced. The wheelie control lets you hang a wheelie for a good bit without really interfering too much, and the traction control, ABS, all of that, I hardly ever feel it ever interfere. I've never felt the traction control interfere on a dry road. You know, on gravel, sure, but on a dry road mid-corner, I've never felt it cut or anything, and I'm sure it's working. It's just that good that I don't even notice it. So it almost makes me nervous to go on bikes that don't have this kind of technology, because I'm so used to having it. And I've talked about that in my other video here about, you know, just how crazy the electronics are on this thing, and it kind of pampers you a little bit. Now, one thing I do want to say also is there's a big issue with these bikes overheating, or at least not overheating in the sense of they'll, you know, cause an issue with the engine, but overheating in the sense that the person on the bike gets super hot, like their legs get really hot. For me, I have not really had that. They mitigated it a bit by making this thing run in a 2-cylinder mode whenever it's warmed up and just idling at a stop. So that helps a good bit, and I think just not having fairings also adds to that. But for me, I really have not had any problems with it being too hot to like sit on. Like, sure, it gets hot enough if I'm in traffic on a warm day or something like that, but it's never been to the point where it's so uncomfortable that I have to pull over and get off of it. I think people might exaggerate that a little bit. And as you saw with my previous video, reliability for this has been amazing. It is, again, the most reliable bike that I've owned. And I believe I've been through 7 motorcycles at this point. So not a ton, but a decent bit to know when something's good. And a lot of those I didn't even put as many miles as what I put on this, and they had issues. The only other one I had, I think, that was equally as reliable was a Yamaha FZ6. But that bike I only rode, again, maybe 1,000 or 2 miles-ish. So with this thing being 6,000 and being an Italian bike, notoriously unreliable, it's quite the feat. And I beat the ever-living snot out of this freaking bike every chance I can get. Wow, we spun really bad there. I don't know if you guys saw, I was just talking about the traction control and everything, go figure, and then the thing spins. You can definitely notice when it works. I will say, I think just grumbling around town, this thing sounds wicked. I think that it sounds better than the Aprilia below, I don't know, like 8 grand. But then you get up to the top, it's, I don't know, it sounds like a MotoGP bike, which is cool, but have you heard the Aprilias up top? Like, it's quite a different sound, and it's amazing. Same with the R1. I would put the Aprilia V4 and the Crossplane 4 from the R1 in the same category in terms of just how amazing their sound is. I've never spent this much on a motorcycle. They've come down a little bit in price, but they're still pretty pricey. You know, I spent $17,000 on this thing. It had 600 miles when I bought it. We're creeping up on 6,500 as I speak. So just on the cusp of 6,000 miles. And I thought I would regret it, you know, kind of a buyer's remorse thing after you make a large purchase like most people do. But every time I ride it, you get the grin, the whole experience just changes your perspective. So I have not had a single instance where I regret purchasing this thing. Again, this is a bunch of wood I need to knock on because I've been hyping this thing up like crazy. And it does come with its shortcomings. You know, I hate that it's a full-fledged naked. That there's, you know, you put a windscreen on it, it makes it look, I don't know, kind of weird. It makes, in my opinion, makes it look worse than right now. So I refrain from putting a windscreen on it, even though it does kind of suck dealing with the wind at higher speeds. But I use that as a barrier to keep me from doing those high speeds, at least for too long. Hi, cows. Oh, a bunch of cows. And donkeys and horses and all sorts of stuff. I just see this thing as the ultimate weapon for someone who wants a do-it-all bike. You know, if I want to take this thing to the track, I could do that, no problem. And yes, theoretically, you can take anything you want to the track. You can take a bagger Harley to the track if you want to. But this will smoke a lot of bikes on track. I mean, as long as you're a good rider, not me. But as long as you're a good rider, it'll smoke a lot of other things on track that are, you know, might be purpose-built for tracks. You know, it's very diverse. And here I am just cruising along, putzing at 50 miles an hour behind a truck on a back road, soaking up bumps like no issue. And I can even pop into the 6th gear. Again, cruising. We're still in race mode too. It's a very aggressive throttle mapping compared to like sport mode. I tend to like it, but it's just showing like I'm in a race mode right now, just cruising along, no problems. It's actually, with earplugs in, very quiet when you're just putzing along. But man, when it wants to be loud, it's loud. I definitely think this will be remembered as one of the best naked motorcycles made. made ever, because I really don't see how much further they'll go. And again, I could eat my words here in a few years, but for when they started making this thing to now, even, I mean, you're talking like a, what, 2020 is when they started, so a 5-year span almost. There's not been much in the naked bike department that would rival it. I mean, sure, you have the BMW M1000R. Oh, sweet, he's turning off. Okay, well, you guys will get to see a little bit of a lively sprint on this road, so that'll be fun. But BMW made their M1000R. I saw they just introduced a new model. I don't know how much different that's going to be than the older one in terms of powertrain and power and all that. But you watch all the videos and they're, you know, power-wise, they're just trying to make the numbers higher. But really, this thing is still top dog, stock for stock. Just the package overall that Ducati offers with this thing, it's hard to beat. Now, do I really think that spending $30, $40, $50, $60, $70, $80,000 on like the Lamborghini version of this bike and like all the other higher trims are worth it? No, I don't. You get the same engine, what's the point? But who knows, maybe someone wants to collect them or something, you know? This thing is just wicked. Just grips everywhere. So confidence inspiring. Look at the trees. What a, oh my gosh. I just feel so lucky today. I'm glad you guys can experience it with me, because this is such a treat. This form of weather at this time of year, with the trees changing too, beautiful. If you guys are just wondering if, you know, this is the bike for you, or maybe you're looking, or maybe this is your dream bike, it's 1000% worth it. As someone who's looked at this motorcycle for years and years and years, been like, I don't think I want to pull the trigger, that's a lot of money. I've skipped over a few motorcycles because I'm like, oh, I think this one will do for now. Nope, I would get one and then I'd sell it the year after I bought it. It just was a cycle. This thing I've just kept, enjoyed, and will not be getting rid of anytime soon. Now I should also say, as long as you keep up with your maintenance, this thing is very good. I do my oil changes every 3,000 miles. As you guys know, I've made a couple videos on that now. And there's been some, trials and tribulations with that, spilling some oil, learning kind of the different quirks with servicing stuff like this. Of course, I'm going to have the Desmo service done at the dealer. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that here, or at least in my garage. But overall, reliable, lots of power, beautiful to look at. I think the most beautiful naked motorcycle they make. And they're relatively affordable now. I mean, again, it's kind of skewed because, yeah, it's still expensive, but I think you can get the base one like mine for around $14,000, $15,000, around there. That's not horrible. I bought it for 17, so I'm still down on it, which kind of sucks, and there's still some stuff I want to do to it. I mean, for the most part, tune exhaust is pretty much all you want to do to them in order to have it sound like you want, perform like you want. But maybe air filter. For me, it's all cosmetic now. I want to change the looks a little bit. There's some carbon fiber bits I want to buy for it. Just fun knickknacks, nothing crazy. I want to hear below what your guys' dream bikes are. Is it this? Is this why you're watching the video? Or do you already own one of these? Do you concur with what I've been saying? Or maybe list the stuff that the current owners don't like about these bikes. There is the water pump issue that plagues this platform. That's really the Achilles heel to the Ducati V4s. But it seems to be very few and far between. There's no semblance of pattern for years made. The early ones seemed more prone to it, but people are still having that happen on newer ones. So I think that one's kind of luck of the draw. I would not take that as fact that it's going to happen. I mean, I'll report back if it does happen to me. I thought it did a couple times, but it is not dripping or anything like that. I think the V4 powertrain is the best powertrain currently made for motorcycles. I think inline 6 powertrain, like the BMW 1600, the K1600, that is a cool powertrain too. But I don't know, for sportier bikes, the V4 is the way to go. And I know I've been rambling, but I hope that you guys can get a good deal of information from this, from an owner that's had this for a few years and put quite a few miles on it. Especially for a, you know, Italian bike that shouldn't be ridden daily and stuff. I don't know, whatever stuff that people think Ducatis are made for, you know, to sit in your garage and look at, but mine has not been doing that. That's honestly how I see all of the higher end trims of this bike being, just for people that put it in their garage and don't really move it much. Maybe take it to a show or something, but that's not me. That's why I got the base model. You know, I might have the suspension tuned by someone who knows what they're doing. I think that would be a huge benefit for me. Obviously track days, but that's all kind of personal stuff to make myself better, along with maybe tweaking the bike to make it perform with me a little more. It was my first bike also with an auto blipper. I forgot to mention that as well. I had a quick shifter on my last one. Super cool. Never really had an auto blipper. You never realize how convenient an auto blipper is until you have it, and you realize how much time you've been wasting thinking about downshifting and all that. We gotta get our daily event. One of my favorite parts about having this bike. My previous motorcycles were like, oh, maybe I'll be able to hit 150. This thing's like soaring way past that speed. No problem at all. I guess my next thing would be like, who do I recommend this for? I think it's definitely for the experienced rider, but also for the person that wants a kind of Swiss Army knife of bikes. The ability to kind of do everything you need it to. I would say that there's probably motorcycles that do something better than this in each category, but I think as a all-around solution, you're gonna find it hard to beat this thing. Let's do it to it. Woo! It is just addicting. This thing is addicting. A big old pick-em-up truck. God, this thing is so much fun. Well, I really hope you guys enjoyed this little video of me rambling about how much I absolutely adore this bike. After 6,000 miles, there's going to be another 6,000 and another 6,000. Just keep piling on this thing because I love it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you have an amazing day. And I'll catch you on the next one.